A large model Showman'S engine. This one is part 16, completing the canopy rewiring and putting it all back together. Believe it or not, this job took 2 days. That included stripping out all the old wiring, and I had to change one or two things around. There was a problem really at the rear of the engine. 2 of the bulbs on the inner rail were very much in my way. So I removed the bulb holders and relocated them somewhere else. That's what I'm currently doing on screen. These bearers are very nice pieces of wood. I'm no expert on trees, but these do look to be made out of beech. In this clip I've been drilling holes in the beech bearers to let the wires through that go to the sockets. And while on the subject of sockets, these sockets were really difficult to dismantle, because it looks to me that after they were originally fitted to the beech bearers, were all given a good coat of varnish, including the lamp holders, before they were fitted into the canopy. The solution was to spray every one with WD-40, followed by carefully removing the rings using a pipe wrench with some masking tape around the jaws to prevent damage to the brass rings. This clip shows just how much varnish was in the bulb holder. This bulb holder was removed, and here it is in its new position. And not wishing to split the bearers, I piloted the holes with a drill first. I could not get the original screws out of the bulb holder, and because they were made from very soft brass, the tops of almost all of them were damaged. In the end I had no choice but to drill them out, or at least the damaged heads anyway. If you look carefully at this clip, you can see that the rail with the removed bulbs has the remains of the 3 brass screws still in place. All of the inner rails contain groups of 3 12-volt bulbs, and when I run the engine, even at a slow speed, as you can see, they're very bright. But of course they would be, because 3 bulbs in series being fed with about 50 volts is the reason for them being bright. It will be a different story when I get all of the bulbs in. The original wiring was very difficult to maintain. My friend Andy, the electrician, and myself both agreed it would be more logical to wire each batten with 3 or 4 bulbs in series, then wire each batten back to the generator in parallel. This is much better if a bulb blows, because only the group of lights that are wired in series will go out if a bulb doesn't work. I work on quite dangerous equipment and I seldom hurt myself, except for today. Here is a plaster on my thumb because I ploughed my screwdriver into it, as it slipped off one of the tiny screws which hold the wires into the bulb holder. And here's an illustration. This time though I'm using the correct screwdriver, because I had 2 small screwdrivers and one has a thicker blade than the other, and I just picked up the wrong one. This Showman'S engine is really well built. It's an extremely high quality item, so I really could not bring myself to leave the mess on the battens where I removed the bulb holders. I think it's time for a couple of heavy duty brass cover plates. And here they are. All the edges have been rounded, the holes have been countersunk, and in this clip I'm cleaning the brass plates using some Brasso wadding, although most of the cleaning was done on my polishing spindle. Here's a good tip. When you need to accurately fit one part to another part, using wood screws or bolts it makes no difference, but always drill the first pilot hole first, and screw the part in place using just 1 screw. As you can see here, the plate is now held in the correct position, so I'm going around the other 3 holes drilling pilots. Needless to say, in a hard wood like this you do need to drill pilot holes. 2 things could happen, the first being the wood could split, or the second one, which is just as bad, you could shear off the screw. I've done this a few times over the years, so the extra time spent piloting the holes really is well worth it. Going against my advice on the other plate, I just held it in position and piloted all 4 holes, using my calibrated eye principle. But it is always better to drill 1 hole first and put a screw in there. And here's the finished job. This is much better in my opinion than leaving the mess on the bearers left by the removal of 2 bulb holders. I made the regulator extension frame while these 2 bearers were still fixed into the canopy. I took this opportunity to measure them correctly, drill holes in the right place and fit captive nuts. These are the components for the regulator extension. When I originally made it, I didn't have any stainless steel of the right diameter or length, so temporarily I used a piece of brass just so I could make the unit. All I've done is threaded the stainless steel to match the brass, and now I'm fitting the handle back to it. I'm tightening this brass clamp nut against the stainless steel thread, and this will stop the handle from coming loose. Here once again you can see the general layout of the assembled regulator extension. Lubrication time, I'm just putting some grease down the tube, and this will make the piece of stainless steel rod slide in and out more easily. This clip shows the link in place at the other end. All I then had to do was bolt the frame up into the canopy, and it went surprisingly well. All 4 of the holes in the brass angle aligned perfectly with the holes I drilled in the bearers. I was actually quite surprised and thanked the great engineer in the sky for that. On the top of the generator, under the dark recesses of the canopy, is a plate with information on it. This dynamo gives 110 volts out at a current of 7.2 amps, but unfortunately that is at 1200 RPM. I really can't turn this generator at that speed. My air compressor is very feeble and doesn't provide enough pressure, but this is about the maximum speed I would like my engine to run at when generating electricity for the canopy. And if you have a look at this rough sketch, you'll see how many bulbs it has to light. Actually, this sketch is wrong. There are only 4 bulbs in the outer centre section. This is running a bit too slowly and the bulbs are getting dimmer. This is probably more like the speed I would generate at, and these are 12 volt bulbs in the canopy. At this speed there are 50 to 60 volts available from the generator. I'm just about to go down to the house to make a cup of tea, so I thought I would show you this clip of the paintwork I've been repairing. Or should I say repainting. I'm talking of course about the wheels. The original yellow paint on the wheels had a green tint, and I originally matched this by mixing some Great Northern Railway green in with the Precision Paints British Railways Signal Yellow. But then I realised that I preferred the Signal Yellow over the strangely green tinted yellow paint, and for that reason it's Signal Yellow all the way from now on. A nice golden yellow. When I went into the house to make some tea, on the doormat was a package. My 6 volt bulbs had arrived, and even though the air supply is very weak and running down all the time, they're a good deal brighter than the 12 volt bulbs, so this is maybe the way to go. And that's it for this episode. I'd just like to say stay safe, stay well, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. And click on the section of the website that says video playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back, making it unnecessary to comment that the videos are too short.